There was somewhere I was going with that. I've been thinking about it all day, and I totally lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
But, oh, man.
It's okay. Do you want to move on to demons?
Could you tuck me in first?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of the 40k Badcast. My name is Dan Boyd. His name is Cameron McLaughlin. We're both extremely bad at 40k, and so are you.
And how?
Welcome to the 8th episode of the 40k Badcast. Now, Campbell, astute listeners may realize that we're in the middle of kind of a thing with our episode numbers and topics.
Oh, yeah.
So today we will be talking about corn.
My favorite starchy vegetable.
My favorite large grass. Did you know that it was first domesticated 10,000 years ago by indigenous peoples in Mexico?
You don't say.
The leafy stalk of the plant produces separate pollen and, ovaliferous inflorescences of ears, which are fruits yielding kernels or seeds.
I can't wait to talk about the efficacies of biodiesel for the rest of our episode.
Yes, it's so great. Corn. No, not that corn, Campbell. No, we're going to be talking about the blood god corn, the chaos god corn, the blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne, that fucking asshole.
Well,
that's what we're going to be talking about.
I need to throw away my show notes. I'll see you in an hour.
Or you need to write some fucking new ones. I'm glad that we both did that joke at the same time. But let's do it. Let's get into the aspects before we do anything else. And I want to quickly touch on just one thing I'm working on. And then there's a giant topic of conversation.
Can I talk about what I'm working on before we get to the big topic, though?
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool.
Go ahead. You first.
Fuck. All right, cool. So it's like a bit balmy, and it's kind of feeling a little summer, even though it's only April right now. And the other day, I just had the windows open, and it was like kind of humid, and there was a nice breeze coming through. And I was building the same 4th edition Terminators I've been building for like 15 years now, or however long it's been. And I just got this nice, like, summery, nostalgic, like, warm and fuzzy feeling inside. Just remind me of being in high school in a good way.
That's great, man.
Yeah, I've just been building some Terminators for my Templars. Yeah, I wanted to share that. But yeah, I built...
That makes me happy inside. One of the few things it does.
But yeah, I built those guys, painted up some Inquisition weirdos. That's about it.
Yeah, so I'm about 99% done with my Orc Blood Bowl team. And I know that, again, listeners are going to be like, this fucking guy, it's all he does is make this one Orc Blood Bowl team. Yes, well, I'm a slow painter. Much slower than Campbell, even though I do have a job where I have to leave my house every day. But
it's overrated.
You don't lie. I've been working on this team for a long time. A big problem with that is I just didn't do any work for a while. Like there was a couple months where I would, get maybe an hour for the entire month in. So the last 2 weeks, I've been taking all of my free time and just working on this team, and about 99% done. I just have to highlight their black shirts, and I got to do like eyes and teeth and freehand and transfers, and I am out. So I think I'll probably be done by hopefully tomorrow, probably this weekend. By the way, it's April 27th, Thursday. This is what we're recording.
Peek behind the curtain.
We're parting the kimono.
Do you have names for your Blood Bowl orcs?
So they're going to be called the Red Fangs.
Yeah, I recall that.
So I think I'm going to look at Red Fang song titles and try to make jokes.
Solid.
And I haven't done that yet, but I'll let you know when I do. How about that?
Please do.
So I'm also trying to get geared up for a Blood Bowl league that I'm going to be running in May, and we're going to talk a little bit about that at the very end of the show. But Campbell, I want to move on to the big topic of conversation.
Yeah. Speaking of episode 8, we're coming up on edition 8 of Warhammer 40,000.
God, I didn't even realize it. It's episode 8 and it's 8th edition.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, they announced it.
Segueing.
Fucking Games Workshop announced it. We've known it's been coming for a long time. There's been a ton of talk about them playtesting it within the community, them being Games Workshop, that is. And we've known that it's coming. They finally announced it, and boy, howdy, am I excited.
I'm stoked. Like, 7th is this bloated, Like 20, when you just bolt things on for 20 years and don't take anything away, you just get what 7th edition is.
It's a bloated, gangrenous mess.
And like, I mean, I've had fun with 7th. I'm not gonna lie, but I think I had a lot more fun back with 4th and 5th when there were just a lot less to them.
The most fun I've ever had with Warhammer 40,000 was last year at the Nova Narrative event.
Yeah.
And that was a 7th edition 40k.
Yeah, it was.
And I mean, the time before that at Nova Narrative, which was the most fun I've ever had playing Warhammer 40,000, was also 7th edition 40k. But now we're moving past it. We're finally moving past it.
Yeah, because like, while I've had some of the best games of 40k ever in 7th edition, I can tell they've been entirely because of the people I've been playing with, while the worst games I've had of 40k have been with some of my favorite people, but they've been in 7th edition. Right,
and some of us... Our armies didn't even get a 7th edition codex.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you and I both. I'm a guard player. I consider myself a first and foremost a guard player. I didn't get a 7th edition codex.
No. My guard and my orcs both got stuck with 6th edition codexes.
And they're both bad.
They are both bad, especially the orcs. It's so not fun to play them.
Yeah, and we're talking about a complete redo of Warhammer 40,000, a complete breakdown, a teardown, and build back up, similar to what they did with Age of Sigmar.
But not quite the same, as in it won't make people as mad. Like, people are going to be mad because, like, there's nothing saltier than ham. You go through the meat aisle, you'll know that. But it's going to make people mad, but I think it's going to make for a way better game. It's going to bring a lot of people back into the game, and it's going to make getting people into the game to begin with way easier, because they're going for a simpler, easier-to-play game, while still offering tactical depth.
They're not bringing out the game without points values like they did with Age of Sigmar. Mm-hmm. They're making a much more polished and finished version of this release.
Yeah, I think Age of Sigmar is really the test bed for a lot of these ideas, and I think they've learned a lot from that.
Well, I'm really excited. They've already talked about movement. They've already talked about profiles and weapon profiles and how the games worked a lot. Pete Foley on the design team did a long Q&A on Twitter the other day, and if you want to get a good idea of what's going on with that, you should definitely check that out on Twitter. I'm going to find out what Pete Foley's @ thing is right now. It's @ Pete Foley, is that, do you think?
It might be something like that. Let's find out before we link to somebody's dad.
It's Pete Foley. He's at Geek Jock Pete on Twitter. And so he did a long Twitter Q&A and gave a lot of good info on 8th edition, or as they're calling it, the new edition of 40K. So at Geek Jock Pete, all spelled like you would normally spell it.
All right. Well, I feel like GW never really refers to it as like 6th edition, 7th edition, whatever. Like, with the exception of...
That's not true. 4th edition and 5th edition had Roman numerals for 4 and 5 on the cover of the book.
I don't recall.
Of the rule book.
I feel like I've never heard them... Whenever they talk about editions, they basically talk about a year or a Rogue Trader in hindsight. I don't remember them calling it 6th or 7th edition, but I might be wrong.
I don't think they called it 6. The rule book for 6 had the, Templars on the cover, right?
Dark Angels.
Dark Angels, okay.
I know, because I bought the collector's edition, and a year and a half later, it was invalid.
Yeah, well, how long has 7th been around?
Like 2.5 years. The difference here is 8th edition is free.
Wait a second, 7th has only been going on for 2.5 years?
Yeah, 2014.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, well, a lot of people are getting mad about that all the codexes and current rules out there are going to get invalidated.
Yeah, I really don't mind.
Yeah, I don't care. They're going to be free. They're going to release all the rules for everything that's out for free.
Yeah, and like they're updating everything at once. And I feel like to achieve real good balance, you need to kind of update everything at once or review things regularly instead of having like, oh, this codex came out in January and this one came out in December. Let's hope they work against each other. I feel like with this, they had to playtest them against each other pretty much at the same time to get them all out at the same time.
Man, I hope it's a lot more balanced than 7th is.
I hope so too. They sound really cognizant of where a lot of the balance problems are. Like they called out, I think in the Facebook Q&A they promised that pyrovores would be viable.
Oh wow!
So yeah, that's weapons grade belief right there.
I would love it if Tyranids were good again.
The pyrovore meta, I'm all about it.
I would love for 2 reasons. Because I think Tyranids are such a cool faction. And the second reason is I'm real tired of hearing Tyranid players bitch and moan about their fucking Tyranids over and over and over again. We get it. Your army sucks.
Has for 2.5 editions.
It's terrible, and I'm sorry. I'm being insensitive. I'm the problem right now. I'm the problem because a lot of these guys spend a lot of time and money to get their fucking armies up, and Games Workshop couldn't give them good rules. And they probably deserve to be mad about it. And I'm sorry, Tyranid players. I said an insensitive thing, and this is my apology to you. At DB_sleazy if you want to give me shit about it.
That was nice and sincere, Dan. Thank you.
Well, I'm trying to do new things with this new edition. There's a great, on Twitter, there's a great hashtag if you want to follow to watch people build up new armies. It's new hashtag new edition or new 40k new army, something like that, new army, new 40k. And there is a lot of really cool projects going on right now.
Nice. You have anything planned for the new edition?
I do not, no. I have near 100 guardsmen that I need to paint up. Which will happen a lot quicker than my fucking Work Blood Bowl team. I'll tell you that fucking much. And I still have a few tanks that I want to do. And well, that's a fucking thing. Who knows? Well, obviously the design team knows, and probably the people that play tested it know. Like, what's going to change with my current dudes? Like, which are Wyverns still going to be fucking amazing?
I hope not.
Are Basilisks gonna somehow be good again?
I hope so.
What's going to happen with sponsons on Lehman Russes? Do I need to go back and add sponsons to all my tanks that don't have sponsons? I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm kind of with 40k. I'm kind of just in a holding pattern.
Dude, for all we know, in the next edition, Wazdaka Gootsmech will make Bike's troops.
I don't really get. Okay, maybe somebody can help me out with this. How is a motorcycle advantageous in combat?
You run a guy over. When the Space Marine bike, the tire is 3 feet wide. It's. I think they're just there because Judge Dredd rides a motorcycle in the comics, and they just wanted to make models based on that, and just kind of went from there. I think that's really it.
I get how a motorcycle would be useful getting to a combat.
Yeah,
because you get there a lot fucking quicker. But when you're in the middle of combat, I don't know, man.
It's all just John Blanche used to ride a motorcycle into the office. As far as I'm aware, there's a photo of him somewhere doing that. It's really just oh, let's do a lot of cool shit. I know. How about a guy on a motorcycle with a chainsaw sword, and he drives into combat, and there's guns on the wheels of his motorcycle? Hell yeah! It's just the cover from Judas Priest Painkiller every single day.
Okay, well, I mean, I get that. I get that it's a fantasy setting. Or I guess a sci-fi setting and
science fantasy.
Just not everything has to make sense, but I don't know, man. It's one of those things where I'm like, what the fuck is this? Also, bikes are annoying and I hate them. Yeah, I'm really excited for this, man. I think this is the hobby needs it so fucking bad too.
Yeah, no, because it's falling apart.
There's no 7th edition. If you're not playing a friend of yours, can be such a fucking at Adepticon. We both had problems. With the way the game, and I think at least we blamed it more on list construction and all that shit. But it gets to the point in these games where you just can't affect the outcome. And I'm just hoping. They're talking about how anything can wound anything.
Yeah.
I just want everything to have an opportunity to affect the outcome of the game. So I'm looking forward to that.
Dude, that's what Age of Sigmar does, and that's one of the reasons it's fun. My blob of shitty Empire troops are able to put their hurt on some massive, nasty ogre stuff just because that system works that way.
I just wish it was coming out sooner.
Same,
It's
man.
April now.
Same.
I think it's coming out, end of June, beginning of July, somewhere in there.
June's the rumor.
I would love for it to come out fucking tomorrow, and we can fucking just get done with 7th.
I can't wait to slam hams in style again.
Anything else you want to talk about regarding 8th edition?
Just excited. I've got a lot of friends who have not played in a while, and because of how 7th edition is 7th edition, and it's going to bring them back. And I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Our next segment is the first time we've done anything like this. It's a guest segment. It's a little bit different though, because we pre-recorded the guest segment because Doug Johnson from Tablewar, who we interviewed, and he lives in California, which is 3 hours behind the East Coast, where both Campbell and I live. And so we had to do it pretty late night, and earlier this week, and I was not ready for this episode at all earlier this week, so we had to split it up. Now, listeners with ears might notice that the sound quality is going to be a little different. Normally, Campbell and I talk on Skype, and then he sends me his recording, and I clean it up and make it pretty, and we put it together, and everything else sounds great. However, we had a Skype call with Doug where both he and Doug were on at the same time, so I was unable to pull him out of the mix like that. So it's going to sound a little bit different, but it's not going to sound bad. I promise you that. So here it is, our interview with Doug Johnson from Tablewar. Okay, everybody, welcome to the 40k Badcast first ever guest segment. Campbell, you excited?
I'm excited. We're legit now.
We are the most legit, completely non-legit podcast out there, and I am extremely happy to welcome Doug Johnson of Tablewar fame to the 40k Badcast. Doug, how you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me. I didn't know I was the first. Wow, pressure.
Yeah, this is the inaugural event for guests on the podcast, and we're actually really excited to have you on. Now, I know that you and Campbell have known each other for a little bit longer, but you and I met at Adepticon this year.
We did.
And I have been impressed with your products over at Tablewar for a while, but I was very happy to say that you are not the shittiest person on the planet, and I enjoyed spending time with you.
That is high praise, sir.
And the hobo Jesus look you cultivate is very good. You're a very handsome man.
I cut the hobo Jesus right after the con.
Oh,
did you really?
I didn't. It's a trimmed beard now.
So you don't have like the table wizard anymore?
The table wizard.
The table wizard.
Yep.
Now we're talking. We're talking to corporate Doug Johnson.
I'm married, so after the movie was over, I had to get a little trim.
So we wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about Tablewar and what kind of products our listeners, the 40K audience, as small as our listener base is, might enjoy. And
the Badcast Bad Boys.
Yeah, the Badcast Bad Boys. What? Oh, that's fantastic.
Somebody writing all this down?
Oh, that one's we're remembering that one. That's fantastic.
Right.
So we were
it's better than the 40k fuck boys, which was the other option.
The 40k fuck boys is even better. God, Campbell, you're on
fire.
Now
you got two types. You got two types of listeners now.
I'm claiming 40k fuck boys for me. You can have the Badcast Bad Boys.
I'm Team Badcast Bad Boys.
And I'm Table Wizards.
Okay, so we were at Adepticon, and it seemed to me that every table at Adepticon had a fat mat on it.
Well, that was pretty cool, wasn't it? I mean, there's competitors out there now, but it's pretty awesome to see all those fat mats. I was pretty excited about that.
I feel like if you took all those fat mats and laid them end to end from the convention center to our mediocre hotel, you could never touch the ground.
It was cold. I would have been using them as jackets if I went outside.
Well, it was also the path between our shitty hotel and the convention center was just covered in goose shit. So the fat mat, for listeners who don't know, is sort of like a giant mouse pad that you put under your terrain on your tabletop. And it's great for a couple of reasons. One, I have an army that's all metal infantry. So instead of guys falling down like they do on the plastic tables that some people use, and on those, a lot of times your guys will get chipped. On the fat mat, they just bounce and don't get chipped at all, which I love because I fucking hate going back and fixing 25 guardsmen with little chips on their fucking helmets.
All your guardsmen are metal?
Yeah, my whole guardsman army is metal except for the vehicles.
That's awesome.
It's the way to go.
Oh, I don't know about awesome. It gets kind of annoying at times, but it's definite choice in the later years as I'm building up my Commissar Yarick or priests or whatever else. A lot of those are that you buy from GW are on Finecast. So finding them on eBay in metal has been kind of a thing. Another cool thing about the fat mats is they are really cool, I guess, designs or pictures on them. Mm-hmm. We played a lot in the, Campbell, the desert theater of our 40K experience, and they had a lot of those wasteland or desert fat mats out there. I really like those.
The Barren Wasteland, that's my favorite. That's my orc mat.
Nice. So how do you...
That's the one I use for my orcs.
What do you do to get the designs, like the designs? How do you design those?
Okay, well, Tablewar created the fat mats, and it all started with me playing on Magic the Gathering type mats, rolling dice to see who goes first and stuff like that, and then being bored and sitting there rolling the dice. And this is one of the huge things that I love about the mats as well is rolling dice on them. It's quiet, they roll well. Not a lot of clanking going on. They don't go shooting off the table. But with the creation of it, myself and the other two artists that I've got, the first off in the Kickstarter, it was just me doing all the art. And then that was the first, 13 designs. We're over 40 something now of unique designs. But we have two other artists now, and the three of us have all came from the video game industry. So, we work really hard on the design, just the design elements of each mat. And that's not even including getting into the art, just knowing, okay, people are going to put terrain here. How is this going to look with it all laid out with terrain? Is there different varieties people can use depending on, because, we always kind of imagine people are using at least 25% of terrain. So 25% of the footprint of the mat will be used with terrain. So a lot of design goes into, making these look good with the terrain on them as well. Then, I think they look pretty good all on their own too sometimes, but that's where it comes from. And, there's 60 years of video game art experience between the three of us artists. So a lot of stuff goes into this. A lot of for me, it was, I wanted to match, and especially the initial ones, I wanted them to match people's bases. Because, I have models already done. Other people have models done. When you're doing GW, you a lot of times when you first start out, you follow along with the GW colors and stuff like that too. So we really use those color palettes as well to kind of help showcase people's armies. So that was like a big focus for us too.
Very cool. So do you just paint the textures in Photoshop, or do you like make a 3D model of a map and shoot it from above, or how do you do it?
Well, it depends. On some of them, we'll render out, like for some of the industrial ones or the ship interior. Mm-hmm. There's some rendered 3D stuff that we've done. A lot of it's photoshopped, like different layers of different materials all layered together. I mean, these are huge files too. I mean, you're talking,
I believe it.
Gigabytes per mat because of the high res detail and stuff like that. So they're monsters to play with. But if you look at what the software I use now for them versus the software I used to use when I first started video games, like, you were pushing around individual pixels, for textures back in those days. And now this giant file, where there's, 300 pixels per inch, and it's a big 74 by 50 size mat. It's fun. I love the organic ones because I can really kind of go with my art background, with my oil painting background, and really have some fun kind of building those out. When you get into the technical ones like the industrial and the ships and stuff like that, then it gets really, really tough to do those kind of textures.
So how long does it take you to get from inception to finished product when you when you design one of the new mats?
It depends. It depends if, all the mats are designed by me. So I'll do the initial mock-ups of kind of the footprint and the elements that I want, stuff like that. And then depending on which one it is, if it's one I feel like I can do and I understand it and it'd be easier for me to do it, I'll do it. If not, I pass it on to the other two artists. And usually, I work with them, and if they feel like it's something, I want them to be able to have their vision get put into the mat as well. So it's really great working with, the two artists that are, from the professional field that, we can sit there and talk and I can go, okay, well, I need these little areas here, but, do what you feel fits. One of them doesn't even really play tabletop. The other one got me into 40K, actually. The other artist, he's the one that got me into it. We were working on EverQuest at the time. And he's like, yeah, you should try this board game. So, it's kind of weird how the industry kind of wraps around. So now, now he's doing art for me. I mean, we were both worked on EverQuest as level builders. We started there as level builders together, and then I went on to animations, and I did all the voice acting for EverQuest too, or a bunch of it at least.
Campbell, did you ever play EverQuest?
I never did, but But Doug, I seem to recall you did a certain sound effect for if you were in the water for too long.
Oh yeah, the drowning effect.
Yeah, could you do that for us?
No.
Aw, shucks.
I knew a couple of guys in high school that like got in real trouble with EverQuest, like failing grades and fucking doing nothing but playing EverQuest all the damn time.
Oh yeah, it destroyed people's lives. It was terrible.
Yeah, I had a friend.
That's how you know it's a good product.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you can't
fun.
hang out with your friends because you're fishing on EverQuest, that means you've made a good game.
Oh yeah, I got like I don't know, it was probably even a year after the game came out. My car got stolen from the movie theater in the middle of the day, and I called my buddy and I'm like, hey, can you come get me? I need a ride. He's like, what? Why? No, I'm busy. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm in a raid. I'm like, dude, my car got stolen. He's like, oh, okay. Can you give me about 30 minutes? All right, whatever. I'll go get a coffee.
That's hilarious. I wanted to ask if you are the sole person responsible for the designs on the mats themselves, or do you take like ideas from the community or feedback from the community or anything like that?
Oh, we listen to the community. We have a pretty long, extensive list of, stuff we want to do. We've put together big lists. And a lot of times people that have not seen a specific design will mention, hey, what about this? And we're like, yeah, it's on the list. But, the more and more people request a certain one, if it's down on the list a little bit more, then it gets bumped up. So we definitely listen to the community. And being a gamer and, being a company that games a lot, I think we have a pretty good sense to start that list. And clearly with like the Kickstarter stuff like that, we wanted to get all the basics done, and we looked at well, what do people's bases look like, how do people do terrain, all this kind of stuff is really important. So you'll see a lot of the products that come from Tablewar come because I'm playing in the community. I'm like, I think this would work here. I want to do this. It's I think like with the cases were unique. And it's kind of the way, that the whole Tablewar started because I did the first little unit trays for my orcs. So when they blew up from a battle wagon, I could take the tray of magnetized orcs to the other side of the table where I got to get them all out of their, battle wagon. And then, as my army got bigger and bigger, then I came up with the case idea. And that's when my partner Todd basically said, he saw what I was doing. He's like, oh, we got to make a company. We got to do this. So that's kind of how it started. And I've known Todd since 4th grade. So we go way back.
I want to talk about a different product that you guys do that I know Campbell is extremely excited about and uses all the time. And it's the macro mat.
I used mine today.
That goes along the same line. I love painting. I'm on all these groups where people are showing off, what they did, 1 hour painting, group, all these hobby lobbies and stuff like that. I love all these groups and everybody's posting these amazing models that they've been working on, but they get lost or they're out of focus because of the table they're shooting it on. They're just sitting there with all their paint pots and stuff in the background, and you're using a smartphone and it just doesn't focus on the right thing. And I have a little bit of a photography background, so I came up with the micromat idea. Decided to throw it up as a Kickstarter to see if other people were interested, and went from there. So yeah, we've had 3 Kickstarters. So
you see so many well, shit, man. Fucking my pictures that I take of my models after I finish them and then post them on the internet are, in front of my fucking work desk with my cutting mat and paint pots and light stand in the background. I need to get me one of these because Campbell, you use it all the time.
Yeah, like I said, I used it today. The thing's set up in sets up in a minute or two, and then you can just crank out a better picture than you could before. Because I used to use like an 18 by 24 piece of paper. It was the back of an art project from college that I just used for all that sort of photography, and it would usually like yellow out or it'd make the whites too hot. And I just never got a good photo with it. And since I got the macromat, it's been pretty solid.
How many backgrounds are there available for the macromat right now, Doug?
Right now there's 3, and there's more coming. So. And this is something we can announce here, is we're doing the 30 by 30 backdrop mats too. So there's going to be some pretty cool new mats coming out because the stand comes right now with the set of the 30 by 15 mats, but the stand has the rods that extend out to 30 inches. So right now you can do the 30 by 15s, either long ways or sideways, depending on if you're doing flyers or you just want it in the back. You want to set up your game table and put that right behind the game table, to take a photo. People do that a lot too. So the 30 by 30s will be coming out as well.
You're going to give people the option to take wider pictures then.
Take wider pictures, more armies. I mean, the Macromat to me it's more than just for the painter. It's for anybody that does any kind of collectibles, right? So, this is kind of branching outside of the gaming industry with this product, because, even on the box, we have all like very collectible, the Russian eggs. And
there's like a model car on there.
Model car on there that, was some, a friend of mine has, which is like an expensive collectible little model 12-inch long car. So I'm like, what are the rules of that car? And they're like, what do you mean rules? I'm like, oh, okay, I'd never have that. There's no rules to it. How do you play with it?
All right. So do you have a favorite Macromat background?
Whichever one complements whatever I'm shooting. It's kind of, coming from the photography background, you really want that contrasting but also complementary style background, which kind of draws out whatever you want to show off in the picture. So we did the 3 mats that we have now also help your smartphone focus. The only thing to really focus on is your subject matter, right? Because the background is that blurred background. So you'll never really focus on that, which also helps you get such a better picture, with these backdrops versus, a cluttered desk or whatnot, where it's auto-focusing on, your paintbrush in the background instead of your dude. So,
do you have anything to say, Doug, to the people who say that your Macromats look like elementary school photo backgrounds?
I would say that's exactly what they are for. That's think Sears. Think Sears portrait.
Glamour shots.
It works. I mean, that's what people see. They understand, and there's a reason why they use those, is because the light. You want that lighter part of the background to be behind whatever the specific element of your subject is, because the eye is drawn there, and then it's going to get drawn to whatever's in focus, which will be your subject and not the background. So it's kind of one of those photography tricks.
Can you quickly give us how about I'll do a practical one. I have one desk light in my apartment, and would that be enough when combined with a Macromat? It's a nice desk light. It's one of those Tautronic desk lights that Carl and the independent characters likes to rave about.
Are you shooting with a smartphone or
yes.
Okay? So with a smartphone, you want to make sure your direct light isn't too close, because if it's too close and it's shining on a part of the subject matter, not all of it, it's gonna widen up your aperture and your lighting on the phone. So it's going to really have a really big contrast between your shadows and your light part of your subject. So you want to be careful. The trick that I always tell everybody to do is hold your fist upside down with your knuckles facing you, right where the subject matter is, and you'll be able to see your shadows a little bit better than like a fully painted model. And if you can see like the under part of your knuckles and stuff like that are in dark shadow, bring back the light. Try to bounce the light around some more. I mean, you can even get, what you can do is you can also put a piece of white paper underneath your subject when you have your lighting there, and see how hard as shadows it's casting. And the trick is to not cast any shadow, or the least amount of shadow as you can. So you're going to get a really nice lit subject where it's not going to have these deep shadows. So those lights that you're talking about are great if they're just out, just right above your subject matter, like too close and too bright. If it's much brighter than the rest of the room, then you're going to cast a lot of shadows. So your phone will open up the lighting for it a little bit. So check your shadows, turn down that light a little bit. Have enough light in the room. Have the lights on in the room or whatever. I usually try to shoot during the day. If I'm going to do something where I really want to show it off, like, this is a finished product and I really want to have the best light, I have it in a well-lit room that's, got daylight coming in, but it doesn't have any direct light on it. And then if I need to, I'll put one of those painting lights back a ways just to hit it with a little bit more light. I'm actually going to probably do a how to photograph your minis class at Nova.
Oh, neat.
This year. Yeah, they asked me after the Macromat came out. So,
Campbell, do you have any other questions for the Macromat?
I just want to say I really love the blue to white gradient, the old heavy metal style gradient. I've been looking for something like that for a while.
It's fun, and it's I'm still excited to see what people are using it for. Somebody put one out there where they had their chest of gold for a Blood and Plunder game.
Nice.
On it, and they had it where it was blue on the bottom, white up, and then the way they shot it, I mean, it was just great. So it's fun to see people playing around with that. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty exciting, and I'm pretty happy that people are happy about it. So
okay, so I have a quick little lightning round of fun questions, and then we have a little bit of a game to play. But before that, are there any announcements you'd like to make? Any more products you want to talk about, or any Tablewar related news you want to talk about before we move on?
Well, we're getting a bunch of new designs coming out. So keep an eye out on tablewar.com, and we're bringing in, we're doing more stuff with other stores. So stores that want to carry our products that are listening that don't have them yet, or if your local store doesn't, if you're a listener and your local store doesn't have the fat mats yet or the Tablewar cases, tell them to email us at sales@tablewardesigns.com, and we'll give them our retail package. So we're just trying to expand and get the word out there that the fat mats are coming out with more exciting designs, and they're all at Tablewar. We also have the European distribution for them and the Australian distribution for them that I should mention as well.
Guys are going global.
Going global.
All right, it's time for the lightning round. Are you ready?
Probably not. Let's do it.
Okay. What is your favorite Space Marine chapter?
World Eaters.
Oh, any reason why?
Angron. He's the black sheep.
Somewhat of a tragic character, that Angron.
He is the tragic son.
Who's your favorite orc war boss?
I love Zogwart. I know he's not. I know he doesn't. He's a leader. He's my favorite. He's my absolute, hands down favorite orc.
What's your first 40k army?
Orcs was my first that I started collecting. Space Marines was the first I played.
Okay.
I really loved orcs. I wanted to play orcs. But one of my friends that was getting me into the game, he played orcs already. So I'm like, okay, I'll try my Ultramarines, but I really want to do orcs. And then he was really bad at orcs, so I thought orcs were like a terrible army to play, right? So I'm like, I'll just stick with my Space Marines for a while. And then I just got tired of the Space Marines, so I jumped to my orcs, and I was with them forever. So orcs are my favorite, I guess.
Do you consider yourself an orc player?
I do, absolutely.
That's
War
fantastic.
Boss Doug.
What's the coolest Tyranid?
A dead one.
I'm from Buenos Aires, and I say kill them all.
Oh, that's it. All right, Doug, that's going to do it for the lightning round. We got one more little game to play. It's called Fuck, Marry, Kill, the Primarch Edition. Now, what we're going to do, dear listeners, is we're going to start doing this with every guest we have on the show. Doug is but the first. So before we get to Doug's answer, Campbell is quickly going to give his list of Fuck, Marry, Kill and some short reasons why, and then I'm going to go ahead and give mine, just so we have it all out there. So, Campbell, you ready?
Got it.
Begin.
So for fuck, I got to go with Lehman Russ. He's dreamy. He's got a luscious head of hair. He'd be savage in bed. But I have the gut feeling he might be kind of a jerk you don't really want to keep around. And he's not the kind of guy you take home to mom and dad. So
he seems like a little bit of a party boy.
Yeah, he seems like a party boy, but he's the kind of guy who'd break your heart. So you wouldn't want to stick around with him for too long. So he's definitely the fuck choice. For the marry choice, I'm going to be predictable. And I'm going to go through Boot Gilliman. He is dependable, he's level-headed, he's strategic, and he's going to give you a good life somewhere in Ultramar. Like, half of Ultramar, like the Ultramar system is basically Space Nebraska, and the 41st Millennium, that's pretty all right. So I feel like he'd give you a good life, and he'd appreciate you, just tactically. And as for kill, just Lorgar, he's a fucking piss boy. The dude will just stab you in the back,
He's just gonna read his dumb nerd books all day, and he's gonna cast some spells in your living room, and he's probably gonna burn some sage. It's gonna smell real weird in there. Sage smells kind of cat pee. But yeah, no. So, fuck that guy.
All right, thank you very much.
Not into the fundies.
Those are three great answers. I'm gonna go with mine real quick. I'm fucking Jagatai Khan because I feel like he's gonna be totally wild in the sack, unrestrained, unbound, if you will. I'm gonna be marrying what's his name, Vulcan, because you know Vulcan. He cares about people. He seems like the guy that would push me to be a better person. Be like, hey, I'm going to the soup kitchen today, man, and I really want you to come with me. We're gonna feed the homeless together. And you know what? I kind of like that in a long-term partner.
He'd forge you into a better man.
And I think Campbell. That's good, by the way. That's really good. I think Campbell, you know who I'm killing.
I think I do, but I want you to tell me anyway.
I'm killing that stupid fucking fuckboy Fulgrim. That fucking piece of shit asshole Fulgrim. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna fucking resurrect him Nagash style and kill him fucking 5 more times. I fucking hate that guy.
So,
Doug, you're up.
So I'm gonna fuck Fulgrim.
whoa.
Why are you fucking Fulgrim?
Because I'm a little twisted, and he created one of the cool demon gods. So
All right, who else you got?
married, I was torn between Dorn and Guilliman.
Both dependable
both
guys.
are solid.
Both
solid
dependable.
Choices.
Yeah, 2 solid choices. So maybe I'll go to my Mormon roots and I'll marry both of them.
I feel like Dorn's the jealous type, but I get you.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe. I don't know how far away they live from each other too. It'd be tricky to get back and forth.
All right, Doug, you got one more.
Brother
Well,
wives.
Logar for sure will die. He is a whiny little bitch, so he goes down.
I think Piss Boy is a good way to describe Mr.
Exactly.
Mr. Lorgar.
He is the golden one, after all.
Yeah.
He did write most of the fundamental imperial church texts, though.
Fucking
Well,
nerd.
there you go too.
Go watch Sunday
Lectitio
School, you nerd.
Divinatus, I believe. I think that was his thing.
Trying to bring back religion.
Motherfucker. All right, thanks a lot, Doug. I'm really, really glad that you were able to come into the show, take time out of your schedule, and talk to us on our shitty little podcast. And I am super excited to see you and all your stuff at Nova. Oh, hey, did you guys sell out of your stuff at Adepticon?
Oh yeah. We were sold out early Sunday, so that was pretty nice.
That's awesome.
Solid.
And how can people find you on the internet?
All right, go to tablewar.com, and that'll get you to all of our links for our European or Australian as well. And then you can like us on Facebook if you want to get the new updates of the different mat designs, different product designs. We're working on other top secret stuff as well. So you can follow us on Twitter as well. Twitter, we are Table War Designs. And then on Facebook, it's just Table War.
All right, thanks a lot, Doug.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, wasn't that fun, Campbell?
I love listening to my favorite wargaming wizard hobo.
He is one of the coolest guys we got to meet, well, at least I got to meet at Adepticon, and I am super excited to see him again at Nova. And we'll party down and drink drinks and fucking stare deeply into each other's eyes. Can't wait.
Oh, yeah, no, he's a great dude. I got to meet him at Warhammer World last year, and that was a fucking blast.
All right, so we're going to move on, and we are moving on to Karn. Blood for the Blood God.
Blood for the Blood God.
Skulls for the Skull Throne of Karn. Karn, the third in our series, Better Know a Chaos God, the god of blood, the god of murder.
The god of basically every teenager at a metal show's t-shirt. everything about this dude is like, it's very traditional, like Christian demon type stuff. Or Western demon type stuff. So it's like all the imagery is straight out of a heavy metal album cover, and it's fan-fucking-tastic.
Red skin, big horns, a lot of flames.
A lot of skulls, just a lot of skulls.
So many skulls. That's, some people that who complain about too many skulls or too many spikes or too many horns or whatever in the 40k aesthetic. I like to point them. So you know what kind of army you should start? You should start a Karn demon army.
So I do offer some required listening for this segment, which is Sacrifice for the Slaughter God by Skeleton Witch.
Okay.
Because that is exactly what this sounds like. When I read through the codex, this is exactly what's going through my head the entire time.
You know, I saw Skeleton Witch. I used to work at a record store, an independent record store in Annandale, Virginia. And they were like in between concert dates, like between Baltimore and Ohio somewhere. And they were like, they called us and they're like, hey, we saw that you guys do shows at your store. Can we do a show? And like 2 days before, and we're like, yeah, let's fucking set that up. These guys are rad. And so these dudes are so fucking heavy and so like fucking good. And they come to our tiny ass little record store to play a show in front of like maybe 20 people. Now 20 people at the record store look like a full fucking house. But they're in there. They had a fucking fog machine and like the one piece of like lighting equipment that they could actually fit in the space. And they tore the fucking place down. It was one of the coolest shows I've ever fucking seen. And I've been a big fan of them since.
I saw them open for Monomarth a few years ago. Not at the show where I got a Viking t-shirt, but at one before that. And they're like, yo, we're Skeleton Witch from Athens, Ohio. And I was like, oh shit. I have a friend she is like the sweetest goddamn person on the planet who like will take a picture with a sunflower and be like, look, this bee landed on my finger. And she loves Ohio. Like that's where she's from. And I was like, hey, I found this cool band from from one of your hometowns. I think you'd like to check them out. She's like, oh, cool. And I send her Disciples of the Slaughter God. She's Campbell, this is scary. I'm like, they're from Ohio, you should like them.
O-H-I-O. All right, back to Karn, because that's what we're actually talking about. So Campbell,
Allegedly.
tell me, who is Karn?
Karn is the god of violence, bloodshed, slaughter, and not as much anymore, but he used to be more about the god of martial pride. He likes getting to grips with the enemy, so his favorite weapon is the axe or maybe the whip. He does not like trickery or magic or any of that sorcerous bullshit that I don't care for either, so I can actually respect that. And his big things are brass, blood, red, just mean.
Bones. Yeah,
bones, skulls.
His aesthetic is heavy on the skulls, heavy on the red, heavy on the brass. Really, really cool stuff. Now, I do remember that he used to be more of, you said martial pride, but he used to be all about strategy and tactics too. Now, not so much.
No, that's kind of been lost by the wayside in favor of just bloodlust. But Karn himself, he is portrayed as being basically like a giant, like kind of mannish looking guy with goat hooves and giant leathery bat wings and a big horned dog head, like your very traditional Satan demon imagery. He lives on a planet of blood, on a throne of skulls, in a fortress of brass that's also surrounded in a boiling cauldron of blood. It's just a lot of those like half dozen words said over and over again until it gets progressively more metal and mean sounding. Yeah,
and his disciples are all about killing and murder.
Yes.
They get a lot of flack in the Caiaphas Cain books because they generally just charge at whatever Imperial Guard regiment is getting up against them without regard for tactics or cover or strategy or anything, and then get mowed down. But when they do get in combat, it's real bad news.
Yeah.
There's a really cool I fucking should have figured this out before the show, but there's a really cool thing. I think it's one of the heresy books where maybe you've read this. It's the main character goes to. I think it might be a Space Marine thing, but I don't know. Main character goes to a world where a Karn preacher or something has taken over, and it's just he leads the world in this unmitigated amount of slaughter, where everybody is infected with bloodlust, basically, and they just kill. Like the first wave of killings is people killing themselves because they can't take it. Their poor minds can't take it. The second wave is people killing each other. The ones that are, taken over by the bloodlust go insane and just start murdering everybody. And then the third is when these clans of rage-infected people start killing each other. So the main character of this book shows up, and he's a Space Marine, and there's enemies are throwing themselves off of buildings to try to kill the Space Marines because their guns and blades and shit don't work.
Yeah.
So they're kamikazing or whatever. It's insane.
Oh, that's
But that's
fucking
what
cool.
Karn does. That's how Karn infects humanity. Insane bloodlust.
Well, the Blood Pact in the Gaunt's Ghost books, they're more like a traditional military unit, aren't they?
Well, they are. They're based on the Imperial Guard, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like Traitor Guard.
They do follow Karn.
Yeah, but they're not like crazy berserkers all the time.
Now that's an interesting take, because Dan Abnett in those books, in the Gaunt's Ghost novels, has given us the Blood Pact, and what I think is really, really cool, it gives them a society. Mm-hmm. It gives them a culture too.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
The Sabbat or Sabbat worlds that are not infected, but taken over by chaos and run by the Blood Pact. There's a whole culture and background there.
Yeah, which is I feel like that's kind of important to have, and something you kind of lose with a lot of fiction based on this game. Is like, if everybody's killing everything all the time, who's feeding them? Where do they sleep? That's
a good point. Well, there's a whole book about that, the Armor of Contempt in Gaunt's Ghost novels, where they infiltrate, a la Dirty Dozen style, on a chaos-held world.
Oh, that's appropriate.
To execute a traitor general.
Nice. And that's not the book Traitor General?
I don't fucking know. There's so many fucking Gaunt's Ghost books.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get real mad at us in the internet because we don't remember all the Gaunt's Ghost books. But all right, more on Karn. What you got for me?
Karn is the iconic, easily recognizable bad guy for this game. And as far as the gods go, some of them translate to being forces in the tabletop more easily than others. Like Slaanesh, his whole excess and perfection thing, I feel, is kind of lost in a lot of it. And entropy for Nurgle is sometimes there, sometimes not. But Karn is just bloodlust and violence, and that comes across in the tabletop real easily. And it has as far back as the game has gone.
That being said, I would argue that Karn is probably the least interesting of the Chaos Gods to me.
Yeah.
Because he's so one-dimensional.
Yeah, he is one-dimensional, but I feel like sometimes it's cool to have a one-dimensional villain. Like, it's hard to have a Karn-aligned character be sympathetic, but it's very easy for the person shooting at the Karn guy to be sympathetic.
Yeah. It's a good narrative tool. So let's talk about Karnate demons.
All right, let's start from the bottom and move our way up.
That's how we usually do it.
Yep. So let's start with Bloodletters, the little naked slayers as they are.
I mean, they're not little; they're man-sized.
They're man-sized, but they're really spindly and gangly and kind of gross-looking.
They got a lot of sharp angles on them.
Yeah, big skulls, like long skulls with long spoopy horns and swords made of brass and hatred. These guys are kind of like, again, a very traditional-looking demon, like thing you kind of see in any old religious manuscript type shit. But in 3rd edition, they actually looked a lot more like kind of beast-man-ish.
That's right. They've changed a little bit, not too much over the years, whereas your other demons have changed a whole bunch. Maybe not the Tzeentch demons, but the other demons have changed a whole bunch. Right? But the Karn demons, for the most part, have stayed very consistent. The Bloodletters are usually led by heralds of Karn, who are just bigger, more ornately clothed Bloodletters. Skull Taker, I believe, is the special character, Herald of Karn.
Yep, with his cape made of skulls.
It's a pretty cool cape.
Yep, it's a pretty cool cape.
It's flowing in the wind on his model too. That's got to be pretty strong wind, but whatever.
He's running real fast.
No, so Bloodletters are your rank and file of the Karn demons. They are armed with swords only, so they got to get into combat, which is a huge problem in 7th edition. But I love the look of them. I've always loved the look of them. I think they're you said it just a few moments ago, iconic, demonic.
Iconic, demonic, smoking to chronic. There we go.
All right, so the next demon we'll talk about is Flesh Hounds.
Corn dogs.
Very popular these days, actually, on the tabletop.
Yeah, they're fast as hell. They have multiple wounds, and they don't hit that hard, but they hit hard enough.
Yeah, so corn dogs are basically scary-looking wolves with lizard frills.
Yeah, like Dilophosaurus frills.
Yeah, and they are just angry and hunt and murder and bite.
Yeah, no, they're the hunting dogs. They're the harassment unit. They're the unit that chases down the cowards who dare flee the battlefield. I love the theory of them. I don't love the models, though.
I don't think the models have gotten an update in a long time, have they?
Not since like 3rd or 4th, yeah.
No, they're definitely showing their age. That whole frill thing, that was popular in second edition almost.
Yeah, like the Rogue Trader artwork for them has really elaborate frills, and it just kept going.
Oh, it's all right.
Yeah, but onto a model I do like the look of are the Juggernauts.
Yes.
I fucking love these guys. Just these big brass rhinos from hell. That's what they are. They're big brass rhino donkeys from hell with living metal for skin, and their saddles are carved out of their skin because they're used as the mounts for the Chaos Lords and Bloodletters, who are called Blood Crushers, which is really hard how you crush a liquid, but that's fine. That's fine. That's cool.
So I remember when I was a kid, I had one of the old metal Juggernauts.
The old donkey face ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's goofy as shit.
But it's so fucking heavy.
Yeah.
It's up there with the old metal dreadnought in heaviness and weight. It was actually pretty easy to put together too, but that's one of those things you get mad at your brother, you huck that one across the room, mom's getting real mad. Yeah,
that's going to find a stud in the wall Jesus.
Well, you hope it finds a stud and doesn't pop through the old drywall. Not the best. So the greater demon, the highest level demon of Karn, is the Bloodthirster, which is they recently came out with a bunch of these guys, or I guess just one kit, but just huge, awesome model for the Bloodthirster. Just a winged demon with giant axes or swords or whatever the fuck, huge bat wings, horns. Your very classic, terrifyingly large demon.
Yeah, he is basically a miniature version of Karn himself, and kind of like the Balrog from Lord of the Rings, but with blood instead of lava coming out of it.
Yeah, really, really cool stuff. The new demon or the new Bloodthirster models.
It's a crazy cool model. I dread the idea of ever having to paint one or store one, but it looks so fucking cool.
Magnetic wings, man.
Dude,
that's got to be the only way people do it, right?
Yeah, or just use it at home.
I'm so glad I fucking play Imperial Guard and all my tanks is on boxes.
Oh, everything is small and square. So
just
did you ever play
stack boxes all day long?
Did you ever play Dawn of War, the first one?
Yes.
You remember the animation for summoning a Bloodthirster?
I do.
The dude just levitates into the sky, splats into the ground. This fountain of blood comes up with this roaring, terrifying Bloodthirster, and I picture that every time they come onto the table.
Oh, whenever you play that game and somebody actually manages to summon a Bloodthirster, it's a fucking oh shit moment. Oh, yeah. Because just like on the tabletop, they're a fucking whirlwind of destruction.
Mm-hmm. As well they should be.
So there are some, I think there's some Forge World support for Karn specifically too, right?
There's a few characters who I don't really know well enough to actually say anything about, but there's also a few demon engines.
Isn't Lord Zuthon?
Lord
he a
Zuthor.
Karn guy?
Yeah, he's a Karn guy. Yeah,
God, that model.
Cool.
That model is so fucking sick. The helmet with the fucking yelling mouth. Oh my god.
I know nothing of his narrative. I just know the model looks dope.
That's one of those models where I just want to fucking paint that model.
Yeah.
I just want to own that model. Fucking cool, man. Well, so they got a couple of demon engines, right?
Yeah. So they've got the Blood Slaughterer of Karn, which is just this big, nasty, giant tick-looking thing. It's really cool, and it's really dangerous looking. It's a lot of round surfaces and very sharp edges, and it's a nice update in the old model, which looks like fucking trash.
Yeah, right.
I love old models, but the old Blood Slaughterer, I was just paging through the Index Catica book with a friend of mine. He just looks over my shoulder and goes, "That sucks."
Yeah, not so good. They also have the super heavy,
the Brass Scorpion.
No, the other one. The dude, the tank guy, the tankman.
A Mutoid Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lord of Skulls.
Yeah, Lord of Skulls. There we go.
I love the Lord of Skulls. The tank treads look like a hot rod tank tread, and then it's got the top half of a dude just up there swinging around. And the fluff for it is insane. Because first of all, it has like the Gormaw cannon or whatever it's called in its belly, shoots out flaming skulls that explode into more skull shrapnel or whatever. He's got a giant skull Gatling gun, which has little skulls in the barrels, if I recall, a giant axe, and he runs on blood. But not just any blood, the blood of murderers. Not that unleaded shit, that high-octane murderer blood.
Fuck yeah, man.
The most bio of biodiesels.
I'm looking at him right now. God damn, that's a fucking lot of skulls on this model.
Yeah, I know. And it has little Juggernaut donkey heads sticking out of some of the blood tanks in the back. Because, it has tanks of blood behind it.
Well, those, I don't know if they are anymore, but those used to be fucking flamer weapons.
They probably still
They
are.
were Hellstorm templates or something. You could just drive
Gross.
up and like just shoot a bunch of fucking Hellstorm templates out the side of the motherfucker.
Oh, man.
That thing is a beast, too, on the tabletop.
Yeah, I remember trying to kill that one in Philly.
Oh, my God. It took forever.
Uh-huh.
Did we actually kill it? I can't even remember.
Yeah, I think we did kill it. It exploded real good.
Yeah. So, more interestingly to me than the demons of Karn is Karn done got himself a whole bunch of Space Marines who have
Legion
devoted
worth.
themselves to him, too. And the most interesting and best are the World Eaters.
Mm-hmm.
This is just one of those, like, cool things about the Heresy in 30K that I love so much, is that the World Eaters aren't just berserk killing machines.
No. Well, most of them are now.
Well, nowadays, yeah, but in the Horus Heresy, they were a legion of dudes who were, they tended towards bloodlust and violence, but they were still an operable and intelligent and tactical Space Marine legion.
Well, as much as they could be, the butcher's nails kind of keep them from doing a lot of that stuff.
Well, let's get into it. Let's get into Angron, man, because Angron, I think, is one of the coolest Primarchs in 40K. I think he's one of the best characters in 40K because his story is not a story where he was just like some badass fucking like military commander that the Emperor was like, "Hey, great job, son of mine, you're kicking ass." Mm-hmm. Motherfucker was a slave on his planet.
Yeah,
the planet that he landed on, he was enslaved and forced to kill people in gladiatorial combat arenas for the delight of the like rich upper class.
Yeah, he was basically Space Spartacus, but a lot meaner and a lot bigger, and they put the butcher's nails in him.
Well, that's why he was so mean, because they went into his fucking skull, went into his brain, and put these cybernetic implants in to make him angrier, to make him more prone to lashing out in violent manners, and to make him more insane with rage when he would fight.
So do you think they put the nails in him before or after finding out his name was Angron?
I think they probably named him Angron because of the nails, or whatever the fuck. He does have a bad name. It's not a good name.
Yeah, some guy on that planet was like, "Ooh, I've got a clever name for this angry guy, Angron. Yeah, all right, let's break for lunch." But
I think he was originally was it Angronius? Yep, Angronius.
oh, that's so dorky.
Angronius of Nuceria, Lord of the Red Sand. Not the best naming.
Not
Sorry,
the best
G-Dub.
name.
Not the best. But, however, he does have one of the greatest quotes out of the Heresy, and I'm going to read it right now. We've talked about Fulgrim. We've talked about Mortarion. We're talking about Angron. 2 weeks, we're going to talk about Magnus. Fulgrim, I hate him. He sucks. He got tricked into falling to chaos, basically.
He didn't take much.
He picked up the wrong weapon and pretty much got tricked.
Mm.
Mortarion, I have a lot more respect for Mortarion. He knowingly went into it. Now his Legion, of course, might have been destroyed if he didn't strike a deal with Nurgle, but there was no trickery like Horus or Fulgrim. Angron, I don't think Angron was tricked. I don't think he was. I don't think he made the choice willingly. I think he was coerced. I think Angron, because of the implants, the butcher's nails, which I should remind everybody that cannot be removed from him, or he dies.
Yep.
And the Emperor, in his unlimited wisdom, felt that Angron was more useful as the commander of his legion than a corpse.
Mm-hmm.
So the nails stayed in instead of the Emperor killing or removing them. And Angron got the raw fucking deal.
Yeah, he got shafted.
Normally, when the Emperor finds his sons, he goes and he meets with them and he talks with them and helps them get through a challenge, or in the case of Leman Russ, challenges them to a thing and beats them. And with Angron, though, Angron was leading a slave revolt on his home planet, and he was losing. he and all of his friends were going to be killed by the slave masters. Mm-hmm. And the emperor, you might think this would be a great time for the emperor and his legions to come in and save the day. No, the emperor, instead of landing on this planet and liberating Angron's people, the emperor teleports Angron from the planet to his ship. And Angron is not happy, to say the least.
He denies him the warrior's death he wanted.
He denies him dying alongside of his friends for a cause that they believed in. And that eats at Angron, somebody who's already prone to irrational rage and anger. And I think his story is one of the most tragic.
It is. I do have to question the reasoning for giving a actual bloodthirsty psychopath a Legion of Space Marines. I really have to question the reasoning behind that. But
well, this is the Emperor we're talking about. The Emperor,
he's a shitty dad.
He doesn't really get people.
No. If you read Master of Mankind, there's a great scene, actually, of him and Angron on an operating table where you really get the idea that this guy, the Emperor, doesn't really think of them as people. He thinks of them as objects, and he dissociates with pretty much everything.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick. I mean, he's our dick, but he's still a dick. So I got this quote from Angron, who's addressing Rebute Gilliman, and I'm going to read it because I love it. It's absolutely great. Here we go. What would you know of struggle, perfect son? When have you fought against the mutilation of your mind? When have you had to do anything more than tally compliances and polish your armor? The people of your world named you Great One. The people of mine called me Slave. Which one of us landed on a paradise of civilization to be raised by a foster father, Rebute? Which one of us was given armies to lead after training in the halls of the Macragian High Riders? Which one of us inherited a strong, cultured kingdom? And which one of us had to rise up against a kingdom with nothing but a horde of starving slaves? Which one of us was a child enslaved on a world of monsters, with his brain cut up by carving knives? Listen to your blue-clad wretches yelling of courage and honor, courage and honor, courage and honor. Do you even know the meaning of those words? Courage is fighting the kingdom which enslaves you. No matter that their armies outnumber yours by 10,000 to 1, you know nothing of courage. Honor is resisting a tyrant when all others suckle and grow fat on the hypocrisy he feeds them. You know nothing of honor.
I've got chills.
It's fucking chilling because Angron didn't have another path except the one that opened up through Horus to the Chaos Gods. The Emperor set him on that path when instead of stepping in and trying to save Angron's slave army on Nuceria, he set him on the path to falling to chaos. And it's sad.
It is sad. He just, man, that's a bummer, but that's such a good speech. That's from Betrayer, which you should read right the fuck now. That book's incredible.
Do you know the exact sequence in which they took to fall to chaos, or do they just follow Horus?
I think they just follow Horus because he has them at the drop site massacre, doesn't he?
Yeah, they're at Isfahan 5. They're at Isfahan 3 too.
Yeah.
So they followed in and they just embraced the Khornate culture of bloodshed. I've
got one more piece of required reading.
Okay.
Which is my favorite Khornate character, who's Karn the Betrayer. And it's a story called The Wrath of Karn by William King.
Okay.
Which has Karn fighting against a Slanesh cult on this one planet. And he's just butchering Chaos Space Marines left and right. And the whole time, this number keeps going up. And it is the kill counter in his helmet. Because he's basically just like a big kid with a loud toy. And the last line of the sentence, or last two sentences are, once more he felt the thrill of victory and knew no regrets for rejecting the demon's offer. 2,487. Not his personal best, but still a good day's work.
Karn is kind of in the fandom has kind of or he did a few years ago, grow into kind of a friendly character almost.
Yeah, he was a memeified character, which is fine. I feel like his characterization in Betrayer and I think he's in First Heretic. I don't think he's in First Heretic, but his characterization in Aaron Dembski Bowden's books kind of feels sort of against that. Or actually, I don't even think it is against that. He's actually one of the few characters I can think of who has an actual friend in the Horus Heresy. He's like not just a brother in arms, not just a guy next to him with a gun, but actually a friend who he speaks to and relates to. Which it's interesting seeing his character come off as a deep and nuanced character when for the last like 30 years people have only known him as a guy with an axe who just chops things real good.
And his model just got re-released. What seems like only a few months ago, is so fucking cool.
That model's fantastic.
Karn the Betrayer.
Kind of love the original one, but that one's great.
I love how he still has his pigtails.
Yep.
I do love that. But man, what a fucking sick model, man.
They're knocking out of the park. They have been for a while.
So let's talk about how Karn Marines and Karn demons and stuff play on the battlefield. And except for the Bloodthirster rather, and except for the Lord of Skulls, pretty much everything kind of sucks right now.
I mean, you wouldn't want to be in hand-to-hand combat with anything there, but
getting them into hand-to-hand combat is the problem. Yeah. Like, everything is very strong in combat. Everything.
Yeah.
Karn is a fucking combat master. He's one of the best hand-to-hand combat characters in the game, bar none. Bloodthirsters, if you can get them into combat, they fucking tear shit up.
Oh, yeah.
Lord of Skulls is an 888 point super heavy thing. It does very well in Apocalypse games, but it's not. You don't take a Lord of Skulls in any regular game. It's way too.
Christ, no.
You kit it out with all the good weapons. It's almost 1,100 points
Easily.
It's kind of dumb.
Easily.
But the hallmark is chopping stuff up in hand to hand, and right now in 40k 7th edition, man, it's hard to get into combat.
Well, it's not as fast as Slanesh stuff. It's not as durable as Nurgle or Tzeentch stuff. It's just guys. Like, just mostly toughness 3 guys with power swords, pretty much.
Or toughness 4 dudes with a whole bunch of attacks in power armor, which, is not the most reliable thing to keep you alive on the battlefield anymore.
Nope, stick them in those Land Raiders.
The Khorne Berserkers, we barely touched them. Khorne Berserkers are the special Marine, Space Marine version for Khorne, and they are great in combat. They get chain axe, bolt pistol, a bunch of extra attacks. They're kind of pricey for what they do, which is generally nothing.
Well, the chain axes are also only AP 4, and they're extra, I think it's 2 points a man, or at least they used to be. So they're not really. They're really good at butchering like orcs. They're good at killing orcs because they need the help.
Guardsmen, they fucking tear shit up. You get them on the charge to Marines. They're rather good against Marines.
Yeah,
but they're just not that good right now. Maybe in 8th it'll be a change, and they'll fucking kick some more ass. But
maybe in 8th they'll get a model from this decade.
Yeah, the Mark of Khorne gives +1 attack.
It gives rage, I think.
Rage
just
now?
+2 attacks in the charge.
Okay, well, it's again, they're so situational nowadays.
Yeah,
they used to be extremely good when you could charge out of stationary rhinos.
Oh, yeah. So the weird thing is, in Epic, they had a lot of war machines, like a lot of war machines. Some of them have been remade for 40k, like the Brass Scorpion. But they had a ton.
They had the Tower of Skulls, too.
Yeah, the Cauldron of Blood.
Yeah.
The Skull Cannon. Well, the Skull Cannon did get them a new model, in a way.
So right now, they're kind of hurting, but it's still great aesthetic. Some of the best fluff out there, or background, or whatever you want to call it. And almost every bad guy, evil NPC that you're going to find in Imperium versus Chaos stuff is Khorne.
Yeah,
or
it's emblematic
Khorne
for a reason.
Or Khorne Marines or whatever the fuck else. It's, again, iconic, demonic. This is the point where we'd normally talk about formations, but I'm not going to fucking do it. Because 8th edition is coming down the pipe, and I don't know what they're going to do with formations in 8th edition. But we're going to see if they're even in the game. They probably will be, but we'll see. So I'm not going to bother talking about them right now. But what I'm really excited for, Campbell, is for you to unveil what our Khorne demon names are.
So, again, I consulted the great demon name generator from the old Realm of Chaos book. And although it is possible to have the name Skull, 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 I figured I'd roll them up and give us slightly better names.
I think it's pronounced Skull, 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 Skull.
I think it might be Skull, 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 School.
Ooh, there we go.
If you're never mind. All right, so. Ooh. So your name, Dan, is Toadsword Doomworm.
That's the best one yet. Toadsword Doomworm. Oh my god, I like it. I'm into it, man.
And my name is Thrash Blister Chewfist. I will be saving these names to use for my Battletoads fanfiction.
Oh, Thrash Blister. That's good.
Thrash Blister Chewfist.
Oh, Thrash Blister and Toadsword. I feel like that would be good names for like 90s cartoon characters. Like He-Man villains.
Thrash Blister! Thrash Blister! Rub He-Man's skin slightly uncomfortably. Like, oh. Chafe him!
Toadsword! Hop towards He-Man menacingly!
Hop to it, Toadsword! Chewfist! Do not let go of his fist! Oh, or is Chewfist a guy with a fist for a mouth, like that one Anthrax album cover? Or his hands,
His
mouths?
hands are shoes. Because it sounds like you're saying shoe fist.
It's Chew Twist.
Oh, okay. All right.
God.
That's really good. Toadsword. What was it? Toadsword,
Doomworm.
The Doomworm. Oh, wow. All right, man. Let's,
The Doomworm on 1 of 6.9 WCIT.
bringing you blood and skulls in the morning, every morning from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock with traffic on the 8s.
There you go. Oh.
How's that for thematic?
Oh, dead on.
Oh, wow. Cool. All right, it's time for Factor Fan Fiction. Give me
Yep.
that good stuff. Give me that shit that I crave.
All right, this one's lengthy, girthy, both. Why not?
I'm ready. My body is ready. My Doomworm is standing at attention.
Oh, God. My Chewfist are dancing on the keyboard trying to find the URL for this.
My Toadsword is erect.
Toadsword. Your Toadsword has been drawn from its scabbard. Two red suns are rising over the rocky hills as Raja Shamshir Talatra and the Fighting Tiger bike squadrons he led swept toward the traders' camp. An ill-defended collection of dilapidated huts and shacks pieced together from panels of scrap metal. As the Tigers bore down on them, two guards, Marines formerly of the Howling Griffin and Black Templar chapters, rose groggily, obviously drunk, from their small campfire and fired off a few ineffectual rounds. In the split second before making contact, Shamshir Talatra noted that the two renegade Marines had painted red X's over the Imperial Eagles in their breastplates. Intel was right, he thought, drawing his sword and decapitating the former Howling Griffin. Next to him, the woman warrior veteran Sergeant Rajender effortlessly disemboweled the other Red Corsair with her double-headed halberd. Roused by the noise, more Red Corsairs, deserted from scores of Space Marine chapters, lumbered into view. A few raised their bolters and fired. Some rushed forward, thinking to meet the Tigers' charge. Some fell back toward the center of the camp. Others stood, weapons half raised, looking around in confusion. As was typical for many Chaos Marines, they had rejected discipline when they had rejected the Emperor, and now they had paid for their laxity.
I hate you.
Several explosions went off simultaneously in and around the camp. Under his helmet, Shamshir Talatra smiled grimly. If all was going according to plan, and it seemed to be, then Fighting Tiger scouts were already kicking down doors and filling the hovels with bolter rounds. Even now, rhinos should be surrounding the camp, and Fighting Tiger tactical marines should be dismounting and gunning down any traitors in sight. Fire at will. Shamshir Talatra snarled into his helmet mic, and the three squadrons accompanying him fired into the misguided Red Corsairs running towards them.
Hurts you too.
The first two squadrons each consisted of a veteran sergeant, two bikers with flamers, an attack bike with a heavy bolter, and three additional bikers. The third squadron consisted of three attack bikes with heavy bolters. A storm of bolter and heavy bolter fire cut down the counterattacking Corsairs, blowing off limbs and heads and blasting gaping holes in torsos and abdomens. None remained alive to feel the edge of Shamshir Talatra's black sword, the ebon blade of Gaharashtra that marked him as a commander of half the chapter.
Boo! You suck!
The few Corsairs that had stood their ground and fired were now falling back to the relative safety of the camp. Shamshir Talatra called to his squadron leaders, Viveka, Kalpana, form a perimeter around this section of the camp. Rajendra, your squadron comes with me. Gunning the engine of his bike, he followed the fleeing traitors. When fighting in close confines, avoid the use of bike-mounted troops. He remembered his mentor, the chaplain Talwar Chakram, telling him as part of his officer training. Chakram would no doubt tell him that his present course of action was at best risky and at worst suicidal, but Shamshir Talatra had not risen to his position by being cautious, and he was not about to start now. The Corsairs split up three...
We're done. You're done.
Dude,
I'm cutting you off.
It keeps getting more and more and more specific. Like, it won't just say 5 Red Corsairs are there. It'd be like, the Red Corsair from the Doom Eagles, look to the Red Corsair from the Lamenters. And then they ask the Red Corsair from the Ultramarines, what do we do with this guy? And there's like a bad one-liner. This is a really bad one-liner. Like, he does like the Metal Gear Solid, like, fake death trick to make them think he's dead. Because apparently all Fighting Tigers of Veda keep extra bags of blood on them. It's so fucking bad. It goes on forever. I got halfway through there. Oh, by the way, did you notice the female Marines and the made up words that require pronunciation guide, which he actually has and I did not read?
No, I didn't, because my brain was fucking coming out of my goddamn ears.
What about the no shit tactical advice of not using bikes up close? It's fucking dire, man. Oh, by the way, do you think that's fact or fan fiction?
Oh, wow. The Fighting Tigers of Veda. That is a real Black Library production right there. You know it. Some of the best paint jobs I've ever seen for models.
That is actually fan fiction. That is Traveler of Both Time and Space, Episode 1. Because I'll have you know, there are 10 chapters of this. Oh wait, no, 16 chapters of this. And in every chapter, the character is referred to as our intrepid hero.
Okay, your punishment for this, for subjecting me and our beautiful listeners, is to fucking read all of them.
Christ almighty.
You better. That's our
next 40k book club. The Fighting Tigers of Veda, Traveler of Time and Space fan fiction anthology.
It hurts. My body hurts.
There's a point where he spits in a guy's face and his face melts off. It's great.
I mean, that's a thing that they can do, isn't it, though? Don't they have, like, acid spit?
The Betcher's gland, yeah. Well, anyway, that dovetails almost into 40k Book Club. That's coming up. You guys should read it. We're reading Cadian Blood by Aaron Dembski-Bowden. It's a fantastic novel. Way different than this. It's gritty, it's grimy, it's nasty. It's ADB's first novel for Black Library, and is excellent. We are going to be reading, we announced that last episode, and we are going to be doing that, we're going to be reading that for the next few weeks. The due date for that is May 23rd. That's when we're planning on recording for the episode, so you want to have read the book by then so we don't spoil the entire thing for you, because we're going to crack it wide the fuck open.
That's
and talk
right.
about how cool this book is.
That's right, and we're going to have a surprise in that episode.
Oh, we're going to have a very sensual surprise. You won't see it coming.
We're getting to the end of the show here, guys. Real quick, you can reach us at various social media outlets and also via email at contact@40kbadcast.com for all your complaints, questions, or if you want to just play a game of 40k or Shadow War or Blood Bowl or whatever the fuck else. I played a game last weekend with a listener, Campbell.
Oh, how'd it go?
With this guy named Andrew, and it was Shadow War Armageddon. We ended up playing 2 games because he captured one of my dudes, and it was a ton of fun. He was a really nice guy. And Shadow War Armageddon is basically first player to get the first turn wins.
Aw.
Which...
You gotta play with a lot of cover, man.
Well, we did. But still, both of the things were like the attacker was coming off of random sides, so you couldn't really set up for it with correct cover. So it was a little rough on both, but he's a really cool guy, and I had a lot of fun playing a game with the listeners. So please contact at 40kbadcast.com if you'd like to play, or you want to fucking yell at us for mispronouncing words in the Fighting Tigers of Veda fan fiction or whatever the fuck else. Just get at us. You can find us on Twitter. I am at DB_sleazy. Campbell is at Brother SRM, and I try not to tweet too much about baseball.
Do you, though?
I try. I don't do as many retweets as I used to.
I just tweet dumb jokes about leather jackets. That's really all I do.
Yeah. No, but you also today tweeted about your YouTube channel.
Yep, on my YouTube channel, if you don't already know, is youtube.com/camhammershow. I just put out a video today on Shadow War Armageddon and why I think it's awesome and why I think it's doing so well. And in 2 weeks, I should be coming out with one for Dawn of War 3, which I have started playing today.
Yeah, the beta's out, right?
The
game actually got released.
The beta. The game itself is out now.
Fuck, I might have to get that.
Yeah, you might want to wait till you hear my review before you make that decision.
You know what? I will wait. I will wait on that. I want to thank Doug Johnson of Tablewar again for coming on the show with us. He's a real cool guy. If you don't have a fat mat, if you don't have a macro mat, I highly suggest you look into getting them because they are really cool and really great hobby aids. I've actually never used a macro mat, but I've played on fat mats a lot, and I honestly don't want to play on, like, it used to be you'd play on like a piece of plywood that had a bunch of sand or whatever glued to it and then painted over that. I don't want to fuck with that shit anymore because it'll fuck your models up. But when you play on a fat mat or you play on any of the neoprene mats and similar stuff, your models don't get fucked up. Yep. So I'm all about it, man. I love those things.
No, fat mats are good stuff. I'm a plastic or resin board kind of guy, but I will happily take a fat mat in a pinch.
Also, I am doing a Blood Bowl league in the Northern Virginia, D.C., Maryland area, the DMV. If you are interested in playing Blood Bowl and you want to do some league stuff, contact at 40kbadcast.com. Just put Blood Bowl in the subject line, and I will get back to you, and we will play fantasy football together. All right, man. It's the end of the show. It's time for an inspirational quote. What do you got for us?
When you decide to die, remember to give your enemy the same honor.
That's it, guys. Actually, you know what? I have an inspirational quote, too.
Oh, do you?
Kill, maim, burn!
Blood for the blood god! Blood for the blood god! Blah, 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 blah.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time on the 40k Badcast.